Yes, so again, good afternoon, everyone. We'll officially start with our session. But before we begin, may I invite you to pause for a moment of silence for our prayer. You may remain seated. May I call on Ms. Riza Marie Rapada, Program Officer for the SDGs at AIS, to lead us into prayer.
Let us remember that we're always in the presence of the Lord. Please do the sign of your faith. Prayer for the environment from Pope Francis's Laudato Si. All-powerful God, you are present in the whole universe and in the smallest of your creatures. You embrace with your tenderness all that exists. Pour out upon us the power of your love, that we may protect life and beauty. Fill us with peace, that we may live as brothers and sisters, harming no one. O God of the poor, help us to rescue the abandoned and forgotten of this earth, so precious in your eyes. Bring healing to our lives, that we may protect the world and not prey on it, that we may sow beauty, not pollution and destruction. Touch the hearts of those who look only for gain at the expense of the poor and the earth. Teach us to discover the worth of each thing, to be filled with awe and contemplation, to recognize that we are profoundly united with every creature as we journey towards your infinite light. We thank you for being with us each day. Encourage us, we pray, in our struggle for justice, love, and peace. Saint Ignatius of Loyola.
Okay, thank you, Rizzy. So again, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our event. Where are we at the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Report 2026? So I'm Miss Nathalie Ting Owano. I will be your moderator for this afternoon. So I'm an instructor from the Department of Development Studies here in Ateneo. And so why are we here? No? I was a bit surprised a while ago when Chris told me there will be a lot of people, a lot more in Zoom, but I'm really glad that there are a lot of us here also. Perhaps it was maybe around 2 weeks ago that the Sustainable Development Report was released. I remember that very clearly, Doc Emma, in one of our group chats, biglang nag-send. Okay? So the report communicated the latest SDG index and dashboards based on the progress of the UN member states in meeting the 17 goals. This year's report comes at a time of rising geopolitical tensions, increasing global instability, and stalled SDG progress, thus making it crucial and relevant as we come closer to the 2030 deadline, and as the post-2030 development agenda is set to begin next year. So you may be here for your own reasons. There are a variety of reasons, I'm sure. Some may be curious, some just wondering where we are right now. Without further ado, I will introduce parang our next set already because that's what we came here for. We will hear about the highlights from the 2026 Sustainable Development Report, what they mean for the world and for our country, the Philippines right now. After this, we will also hear from our panel of reactors. We have distinguished reactors today in their fields of expertise. And we will end the discussion with a moment to process everything through breakout groups. So don't worry, you will also have parang that space to share your thoughts with a smaller group. So to start off our afternoon, I would like to call on Dr. Emmanuel D. Delocado, Director of the Ateneo Institute of Sustainability, and Ms. Chris Lacdao Umali, Program Head for SDGs at AIS, to give us the rundown of the 2026 Sustainable Development Report. Both Doc Eman and Chris have been working with networks on the SDGs and education such as the Sustainable Development Solutions Network, the ASEAN University Network on Ecological Education and Culture, and the promotion of sustainability in postgraduate education and research. So may I call on Chris to start off the discussion.
Thank you, Ms. Nat, for that generous introduction. So, why are we all here? I think we're very curious to find out, looking at the Sustainable Development Goals, ayan, nandito sila. We made sure they're all here and they're complete so we can reflect on these goals. Where we are, given that the deadline is coming very, very soon, in 2030. So it's now 2026, and we only have about 4 years to go. And so, ayan, sa mga nakaka-relate medyo, this journey began before the SDGs. We had the Millennium Development Goals, and they also had a 15-year time frame. Ayan, if I can just read out what they are, no. The first one was to eradicate extreme poverty and hunger. The second is to achieve universal primary education, promoting gender equality and to empower women, reduce child mortality, improve maternal health, to combat HIV/AIDS, malaria, and other diseases. The seventh is to ensure environmental sustainability. And last, to develop a global
Sabi
partnership
ni
for
Kuya.
development. And just a reminder to our
Mission.
audience on Zoom, to put yourselves on mute. Thank you very much po. All right. And then in 2015, the SDGs were launched. So we have from 8 MDGs, we are now journeying towards 17 goals. And as it said time and again, this represents really our greatest aspirations for our world. And ever since then, the SDSN, Sustainable Development Solutions Network, has been releasing yearly progress updates. It started in 2016, so that's the first report that you see there, this one. And then itong this year, 2026, where are we? So what does this look at? It is an annual assessment taking a look at not just the 17 SDGs, but also the 169 targets that come with it, identifying trends in environmental, social, and economic sustainability. Who is part of this? As much as possible, the 193 UN member states, but for this year, we have data on 169 members of the UN. All right, the next slide is very exciting because ito na makikita nyo yung dashboard. And the dashboard, for reference, those in green, these are the ones that are on track or have been achieved. And then yellow is, getting there. There are some challenges. Orange, more challenges. And then red, significant challenges. So anyone, or should I place your bets na ba on, are there, or what do you think? Have we achieved? Where are we doing well? Medyo nakakatakot. So the first dashboard that you will see is our global performance, and later on when Doc Eman will speak, he will talk more about the progress of the Philippines. So I will show you, and then I'll give you time to absorb the dashboard. So where are we in 2026? This is where we are. So again, evidently there is no green, and so we have not achieved any of the SDGs so far. There are two particular in yellow. Challenges remain. We're doing okay, but we're not quite there yet in quality education and industry innovation and infrastructure. Okay, so I'll pause here lang just for you to take a look. There are arrows there, the arrows that are moving up. Syempre, there is progress, improving. Those that are straight are stagnating in our performance. And then, wala naman downward. Yes. Okay. Okay, so how are we feeling right now? Ngayon na nagsisimula ang reaction. So, how are we feeling taking a look at this progress? All right. Perhaps some things to note, no? Okay. Ayaw na niyang gumalaw. Okay. All right, here. Some things to note. We have on-track goals. I mean, it's the colors are not the ones that we desire, but what's important is maybe taking a look at this number. 16% are on track to getting there. But at the same time, we have 16% that are worsening. And the majority of that is we have limited progress globally in the SDGs. And so, okay, sorry about that. It's, di pa rin. Okay. All right, based on the current track of progress, none of the goals are on track to being achieved by the 2030 deadline. Okay, so that's the reality, that's the hard pill that we need to swallow. And in particular, taking a look at these, off track and facing major challenges are SDG 11, SDG 14, so the ones on our biodiversity actually, so life below water, life on land, and 16, which I think might not be as surprising given the number of things that are happening in our world, no? The several acts of conflict, etc. So this is where we are in terms of our performance. Just some other things that I'd like to note in terms of progress. So when we look at the SDG scores, the scores are from 0 to 100. And so the closer to 100, the more progress a country is making. And taking a look at the performance so far, no, the top 10 countries that are progressing well in achieving the SDGs. Number 1 is Finland, and Finland has been holding that top position for a while now. And followed by Sweden, Denmark, Norway, Germany in the top 5. What's pretty much notable about all these countries is that they're all European. So all European countries doing well in terms of their SDG progress. Next, we have the bottom 10 countries. And so the bottom of the 169 that were able to submit data for this report is South Sudan, and then Central African Republic, Chad, Somalia, and Sudan. And taking a look at these countries, they are mostly in Asia and in Africa. Okay, so, and notably also how far the scores are. Finland scores at 87.4, while South Sudan scores at 39.9. So it's a very far also. Okay. Next thing I'd like to talk about are the spillovers. So when we speak of spillovers, these are the score measures the positive and negative impacts of a country's actions and what they have on other nations. So my progress vis-a-vis other countries. And this one, if you can see on your left side, SDG index score. So this is 0 to 100, 100 is the best. But if you take a look at the bar graph on the right, this notes the spillover score. So the lower the score, the more negative effect. Okay, so noting also, taking a look at, okay, medyo mahirap. Taking a look at the scores here, so performing well on this end, Eastern Europe and Central Asia, but the trend is these are the same countries that have higher scores. Okay. Another graph here, maybe a little bit clearer. This one notes high-income countries, how well they're doing. These are the countries that are doing very well. But taking a look at their spillover scores, sila rin ang with the worst scores. Okay. Some key messages from this year's report. So the first one is, despite the many things that are happening in the world, the commitment to the SDGs still remains strong. And so, though we only have 16% of the targets on track, there's still a lot of momentum on the goals. So, despite the fact that the dashboard you saw a while ago is, it's rather bleak, is rather full of yellows and oranges, the commitment of the member countries is still, we are working still towards achieving these goals. Next is in particular, and Doc Eman will talk about this a little bit more later on. East and South Asia have outperformed all other regions in SDG progress, and this is great. Notably, China, from where we started in 2015, has moved up by 14 positions in the index. India, on the other hand, has also moved up by 18 places. But notably so as well, the United States has declined by 15 spots. And so I think also worth noting that the United States also falls last in the countries that support for UN multilateralism. So it's an outlier, but it's also quite notable given what the US is capable of as a power. But lastly, I would like to wrap up my portion on a more positive note. No? How do we move forward? The strengthening of the implementation is key in the priority for a post-2030 agenda. So taking a look at, 2030, maybe we will not make it in terms of the deadline, but looking ahead, how else can we improve in terms of our performance and what we can do? And there is particular emphasis on the need for stronger implementation mechanisms, adequate financing, effective global, regional, and national government frameworks, and better use of science and data for sustainable development. And that's where we are in terms of how we're performing on the global scale. But I think also of note, we're interested in how we as a country are performing in terms of the SDGs. And now I turn you over to Dr. Eman Delocado.
Thank you, Ms. Chris. Okay, so Chris ended on a sort of positive note, and unfortunately, I'm here to to change that. Okay, so where are we? Okay, this why this? This is the context that we are working on. Okay, it's nice to talk about implementation. It's nice to talk about financing. Of course, plans are different from the actual, action initiatives. But we always have to work with the context, okay? So, and this is part of the context of the global reality that we are dealing with, okay? So the January 6th Capitol riot or attack, however you want to phrase it. This might show us the reality of the more socio-political aspect, but also this is part of the reality. So, can anyone figure out what's happening here, which made the rounds on social media in different versions in the last 2 weeks? Okay, the heat wave in Europe. So, this was taken in Paris, no? So, the river, di ba? Yun. So, and usually it's nice for viewing, for strolling, di ba? Bit romantic, that kind of thing. Well, but in this case, the government lifted the banning of swimming because ang init, it's so hot. So it's a very accessible, it's smack in the middle of the city, so people can really just swim. Okay, so on one hand, our reality shows a very volatile geopolitics, and also it's happening and alongside that, we have a very volatile planet. Okay, not that these two are independent and separate from one another. They're very much interrelated. But that's a reality that we're dealing with. So, okay, let us be clear. With 16% on track to achieving by 2030, we will not make it to 2030. We have to be clear upfront about that. Okay, it's one of those things that we have to put a name or face to the monster kind of thing so that we know how to deal with it, no? So we will not make it to 2030. It's like, having a standing of 20-30% seeking to reach the 70% passing, mga ganon, no? We used to have time. It's been 11 years since SDGs were promulgated. We're down to our last 4 years. A study was done, a massive survey among SDG experts and leaders were done in the last few months, asking what should we do, okay? Because we will not make it to 2030, so what should we do, okay? earlier, Chris presented that in 2000, no, we have the Millennium Development Goals. We have 15 years to achieve 8, and because we were not able to achieve 8 in 15 years, we added more goals, diba? So from 2015 to 2030, we have 17. Okay? What's the move? Should we add more? Okay. In a global survey, as you can see, no, 70%, more than 70% said that targets should remain similar. Okay, and then of course some said we should still push it further, make it more ambitious. But an overwhelming majority said that the goal should remain similar. Okay, and it might be the strategic move. Why? Because 2000 we have Millennium Development Goals, 2015 SDGs, 2030 are we gonna come up with new branding, new name, new logos, new icons, diba, for the same aspirations? Aside from the quote-unquote waste of energy and effort, it might also desensitize people. Oh, it's another set of goals. We will not make it anyway, diba? So the move of the global community is to stick with the 17 SDGs. Perhaps refine the 169 targets, but keep the 17. After all, they have to an extent become some catchphrase anyway. No poverty, zero hunger, quality education, etc. Okay? To be clear, this is a survey, no? It doesn't mean this is what will happen. The world leaders, no, and representatives will meet in New York in September to discuss, well, to start the discussion, no, or continue the discussion on what will happen. So it's the long road to 2030. Okay? Sige. So the question now is, okay, it's a sad okay, you can see here also some of the points, no, number of targets should be reduced. We have like 33%. Number of goals targets should be increased a lot less, no? So at like 25%. But it's also clear that no one said, we're looking at green and blue, no, for agree and strongly agree. No one said that there's no value in global goals post 2030. So we have to have something by 2030. What that would be is the question, but an overwhelming majority says keep the goals. Okay? So, given all of these, no, so it's a sad reality that we're dealing with. How do we move on? Okay, and because mahirap mag-move on, okay, so we're here to provide some points on ways moving forward. Okay, an overwhelming majority said that we should strengthen implementation and investment. So, two things, no? The goals are there, the plans are there, the targets are there. We need, therefore, to strengthen implementation. We have to make it work by strengthening science, data, governance. Others are also saying we need to strengthen investment and financing. Okay? The goals are good, but we need money to make it work. Okay? And as much as we tend to simplify it that we need money and we need to look for money, something must be said also. Spillovers happen. Therefore, there should be a financing stream from the global north to the global south. Okay? Kailangan suportahan ng global north and global south because also of the spillover. No? Spillover, as Chris mentioned, hindi natin kasalanan pero apektado tayo. Okay? And mas mataas yung hindi natin gawa pero apektado tayo more than gawa natin apektado sila. We have lesser impact to them than them to us, no? So therefore, the global north should provide financing streams for the global south. Okay, and that was included in the report, no? As the 2030 landmark approaches, the next era of sustainable development must put the global emphasis on implementation and ensuring strong financing and effective governance at all levels. Okay? So two things are clear: financing, strengthen implementation. But there are also other ways of thinking which we would like to highlight. One is transformation. A common criticism is, ang dami kasi, there's a lot. There's 17 of them. We know the value of 17. I hope when we have an activity with, if we are to remove one goal, you don't have an easy answer because it's a tough question which probably should not even be asked, diba? But maybe it would be more meaningful if we think of them as clusters. We tend as a global community to work in silos. We tend to work ng kanya-kanya, hiwa-hiwalay, no? Maybe it's more meaningful if we think in 6 different SDG transformations, which is not a new concept. It was published in 2019. I will read them. Transformation 1 is education, gender, and inequality. Transformation 2 is health, well-being, and demography. Transformation 3 is energy, decarbonization, and sustainable industry. Transformation 4 is sustainable food, land, water, and oceans. Transformation 5 is sustainable cities and communities. And Transformation 6, digital revolution for sustainable development. For example, Transformation 4, some might be more concerned with animal conservation or deforestation as an issue, diba? We're after protecting biodiversity, which some people might see as a vanity project. Why are we looking after these animals, these trees, diba? Well, because sure, it's looking at land, water, oceans, but also it's source of food, of people, livelihood, no? And there's cultural value also attached to it, diba? And while it's easy for us, no, to have a simple activity, or which of the 17 fall under SDG Transformation 1 or Transformation 2, the proponents said that we need to think of it in this way. The Transformation 1 actually affects all 17, and all 17 affects Transformation 1 all the way to 6. Okay? We might want to look, for example, no, at education, gender, and inequality, and you can see, no, the very thick line linking to 4 and 5, which is quality education and gender equality. But that does not mean that education, gender, and inequality is not connected to life below water, life on land, and peace, justice, and strong.
Where are we in the SDG?
Okay. Okay. So there are interconnections happening, and we need to think of it this way. Okay? And maybe it's a lot easy, of course, in hindsight, wala tayong magagawa, nandiyan yung 17, but it might be easier to sell 6 than 17. Okay, so these are ways on how we can frame our thinking. Aside from that, so we have 3 already, no? We have financing, implementation, transformation. Addressing existing context, we need to recognize the existing problems of the world. Okay? One is war. Okay? War and military expenditures, no? Which is very disruptive, no? We don't need to run it no, one by one. What are the impacts of war on human life, on health, etc. But maybe one thing I'd like to highlight is that the annual budget or expenditure on military and war can feed or eradicate hunger in Africa 3 times over. But the money goes to senseless wars. And it's a discussion that needs to happen at the level of countries, governments, hopefully United Nations, no? Because it's not just wars kill in ways more than one. Not just those who are directly involved in it, but even those who have nothing to do with it. Prepare for disruptor. So the first one is like looking, I don't want to say back, no, because it's still happening. But the second one is looking forward. Prepare for disruptors, no? So developing frameworks, outlooks on for AI, for biotech, and other emerging technologies. And the third one is working on various scales. So working globally, regional, local, no? And local can mean country level, national, or a bit smaller than that, like cities and provinces. Okay? So these are no, these are some ways on how we can move forward and some recommendations on how we can frame it. And I understand the sentiments. Also, a lot easier said than done, diba? But we need to start with some frameworks on how we can move together. Okay? How about the Philippines? Okay. Ito na po. Okay? SDGs in the Philippines. Again, we're working with contexts like this. Okay? Well, we should be problematizing, no, the hunger, biodiversity, and all that. This is a context that we're dealing with. The political circus that has been happening, which some would like to argue it did not happen only this year. Okay? Let's situate first the Philippines in a broader context. Southeast Asia. Okay? As mentioned by Chris, no, East and South Asia is the most developed region when it comes to the SDGs. In this particular classification, Southeast Asia is part of the East and South Asia cluster. So, I mean, we can comment on it, on identity and everything, you know, but I'm just saying, no, Southeast Asia is with East and South Asia in these clusters, no? The x-axis shows us our score in 2015 when the index was first made. And the y-axis is our progress. Ilang points yung tinaas natin. Okay. Yeah. So, meaning to say, as you can see here, when you look at the entire pack, no, Southeast Asia is, let's say, gitna, no? That's the x-axis. But we progress significantly. No, if you look at the y-axis, we're high up there, no? Together with the lower middle income countries and BRICS plus. So Brazil, Russia, India, etc. Okay? There are countries, no, which performed close when it comes to improvement, but they started way lower than in Southeast Asia. And there are countries also which scored better, a lot better than Southeast Asia, but have stagnated and progressed very minimally. So Middle East, North Africa, high-income countries, and OECD. No, one thing to note about Middle East, no, one of the arguments is nandun yung pera. Diba? They have the capacity to mobilize things, no, well beyond the classic superpowers, your US, China, etc. Nandun yung pera, so things can actually mobilize there. Their original possession is not surprising, but the slow progress is arguably surprising. Moreover, in Southeast Asia, ayan, so better than other regions on poverty alleviation, education, and industry, as you can see. So we're following the same colors as the colors presented by Chris, no? Education in Southeast Asia as a whole, no, is on track, as you can see there. Same goes for industry innovation. Ayan. As for poverty alleviation, you can see that it's not green, but it's moderately increasing compared to other regions, in which the progress is stagnating or decreasing. Ayan. Okay. One thing to note that globally, when it comes to 13 to 15, that's your biodiversity and climate, parang ang lala talaga. Walang increasing, no? Ayan. And then major challenges remain, as I said, no, major challenges remain on targets related to biodiversity and justice. No, that's 16. As you can see here, pulang-pula yung justice. That major challenges remain. Okay. Now, looking back at the Philippines, no, the next slide, no, may make some of you uncomfortable. I mean, more uncomfortable than how we've been subjecting you in the past few minutes, no. The reality that we're dealing is this. Okay. Many are not open in seeing figures like this, but we have to recognize the realities that we're dealing with. Okay. There is an article the other day in, I'm not sure if it's Business World, no. Parang the discussions are so polarizing because we're consuming two versions of reality. It's not anymore we're looking at the same issue. It's just the algorithm feeds us with different versions of reality. 'Di ba? Hindi na lang siya yung, oh, we watch the same news sa TV Patrol but we have different opinions. Hindi na lang siya ganun eh. It's just we have different Facebook algorithms altogether, and what I'm seeing is an echo chamber of what I'm believing, and ganoon din sila, but it's a very different reality that they're seeing. And I would dismiss what they're seeing as fake or propaganda, and they'll do the same. 'Di ba? So it's a very challenging world to deal with, especially for issues which may seem to not affect us on a daily level every day. No? Ayan. The realities that we're dealing with. Diba? We're discussing SDG set against this backdrop. Okay? And discussions like this, no, we have to think, is there any consolation? Okay? Ang taas ng Philippines. Okay? If you look, compared to those with a similar SDG score in 2015, ayan, we're roughly on the same position or score, no, as Indonesia, Egypt, China, Bangladesh, Saudi Arabia, etc. But we progressed very significantly compared to those, no. If we were on a race, we started on the same starting point, pero we progressed more significantly than them. Okay? Again, parang ano ba to, finding awkward consolations in the middle of all of these, no, that we just have to be proud and happy with. Okay? Ayan. Ito na po. Chris presented earlier how many in the 17 SDGs you think we have achieved. That's globally. In the Philippines, ilan po? What's your guess? Someone said 1. Anyone going higher? Lower? Sige, who thinks 0? We have not achieved any. Who says 1? Okay. Aba, may 0, 1. 2. Wala na. Okay, meron. Ayan. Higher than 2. Ang baba ng benchmark na. Ayan, meron. Salamat po. Ayan. We have achieved 1. Okay. Can you guess which one of the 17? You have 17 choices in front of you. Pasensya po, minsan very Filipino, no, tinatawa na lang natin yung ano, no. Pero kikilos naman tayo, pero minsan kailangan lang nating itawa kaunti, ganun, no. Okay, which one do you think? Sino sabing 18? 17 lang po sila. 5. Ayan, 5. May nagsabing gender equality. Ano pa po, ang tingin ng 10. Okay, reduced inequality. Ako bigla yung napa-quiz B, no, sa mga number na sinasabi. Okay. May isa po tayong na-achieve na. Take note, SDG achieved. Not in progress, achieve. Nagawa na natin. Okay? Ayan. And this is SDG 12, which is responsible consumption and production. Yes. Ang lakas po nun, but yes. No? Yes. Why? Later, no, I think I did not include. But later, no, we'll look at some of the indicators. Again, no, these are 17 and there were 169 targets, no. Yung targets po for responsible consumption and production has to do with practically being masinop. Yung mga agricultural byproduct natin, andyan siya na. Noktubi. Okay. Yung mga agricultural byproduct po natin, may pinaggagamitan pa ba tayo? Yung mga pinagbayuhan po ng bigas, 'di ba? May pinaggagamitan pa ba 'yon? Okay? So, we are as a culture, we're very circular. Very circular economy tayo. Pero it's not, I mean, maybe partly driven by being, aware of nature. But a lot of it has to do with, kailangan natin magtipid, wala tayong pera as a country. Diba? Or may pera tayo pero kinukurakot, no? So, a lot of it has to do with being resourceful. Because we're forced to be resourceful. Okay? Ayan. Kaya po natin na-achieve na. Okay, as weird as that sounds. Okay. We rank 80 over 169. Our score is 69.9. The average in the region is 70.5. Okay, so in South and East Asia or Southeast Asia, 70.5. Okay? Let's look at this more closely. Anong tingin ng gobyerno, anong tingin ng tao? Okay? Well, in the eyes of UN, the Philippine government shows strong commitment. Ayan, may mga may mga weird sounds po tayong yes. Hello po sa mga nasa Zoom. I can only imagine your responses. Okay. Ayan. As you can see here, no, percentage of votes aligned with the majority of UN General Assembly. Of course, it's not an absolute metric, no, because sometimes if the UN decision is, not too good, but we're aligned with that, that's a point to our favor. Diba? But it's one of those substitute metrics that we have to assess government cooperation. Ayan, no? Ayan. Maybe because we believe in it, maybe because we're people pleaser to the global community, no? We have the highest score, no? We have the highest number of votes na aligned sa global decision ng UN General Assembly. Another. Ayan. This one naman, of course, we'll unpack it, no? Number of voluntary national reviews presented, no? In which we have 4, and we have among the highest together with Egypt, Indonesia, Mexico. Ano po yung VNR? It's country reporting its progress on the SDGs. The same way that SDR was released by SDSN, Philippines reported on our progress voluntarily, no? We examined our progress voluntarily 4 times already, and that's the most number of report. Ayan, may mga nagre-react. Well, it's sariling report. No? So, pwedeng sinabi natin maganda yung nangyayari, pwedeng though I can say naman, no, it's not we did not say na napakagaling natin, ganun, no. So, I don't want to say it's completely fair. I mean, if you need some security on the product of our DepDev or NED before, we were invited naman in the past to review the VNR. AAS was invited to review our VNR naman before, no. Of course, how much of it was included or not, it's a different discussion. So may mga ganong measures naman. Hindi lang siya kumbaga pagbibida completely. Okay? Ayan. A survey was done to the government, and I'll ask for your participation here, no. The governments were asked 6 questions, I think. Ayan. And the choices are here. Let's try to answer them and see ano yung sagot ng gobyerno natin. Okay, this was for 2026 po. So meaning to say it's already the Marcos administration, no? Speeches. Since January 1st, 2025, did the head of the state issue an official statement endorsing the implementation of the SDGs? Yes or no? Couldn't be clearer than that. Yes or no? Okay, the government answered. So what I'll report po is what our government, what Malacanang answered, no? Hindi namin to assessment. No. Ayan, yun ang sinagot nila. Okay? Next, strategy. Did the national government adopt an overarching action plan to implement the SDGs? Yes, the country has a standalone strategy. Yes, B. The country has a sustainable development or economic development plan that refers to the SDGs. No. No, B. No, but the SDGs are being mainstreamed in sectoral strategies. Okay. Yes, B ang sinagot ng ating gobyerno. So meron tayong meron tayong ambition 2040, okay? Meron tayong ambition 2040, and it's aligned. Nilagyan nila ng SDGs, gano'n. Nilagyan nila ng mga icon, gano'n, no? Okay, next. National indicators. Did the NSO develop a set of national priority indicators to monitor the implementation of SDGs? Yes, a national indicator set has been developed. No, but a national online platform has been developed to report the status of official SDG indicators. Sa totoo lang po, hindi rin namin alam. Kailangan pa namin tignan after ng report na to, no? Pero ang sagot ng gobyerno ay yes, that NSO meron daw. Okay. Supreme Audit Institutions. Ano po ang Supreme Audit natin sa Pilipinas? COA. Okay. Then you have auxiliary units, maybe BIR, mga ganyan, mga support, no? Ayan. Since 2015, did COA conduct an audit explicitly linked with the SDGs at national or federal level? Yes. Wala po akong kinalaman dun. Okay. Ayan. So, ang sinagot ay yes, pero we have, I guess, nuancing, no? It sabi 2015 pa. Baka naman before pag ginawa. No? Ayan. Okay. Next, budget. In the last national budget document, are the SDGs mentioned? Yes, explicitly as dedicated section. Yes, explicitly in the overarching narrative, but without associated budget lines. Ang weird po ng option B, no? No, the SDGs are not mentioned in the latest budget document. Ayan, no. Yan ang sagot natin. Ayan. Coordination unit, is there a designated lead national government unit with overall responsibility for coordination and implementation of SDGs? Ang sagot po natin ay yes. It's under DepDef, no, sa USEC. Rosemary Edelion ang pangunahing tao dito. Before, masyado tayo na kontento na it's just an SDG subcommittee sa NEDA. Ngayon, ano na siya? Nag-level up na. Okay. Ayan, despite considerable national progress, only 40% of Filipinos perceive our progress to be moderate or strong. So kanina we looked at the country level, no? Ngayon we're looking at the we looked at the government side. Ngayon we look at the people side, no? From those surveyed, nafe-feel ba nila? Practically yun yung tanong, no? And the answer is, well, nasa 40 lang yung nagsabi, 40% yung nagsabi ng moderate or strong. Okay? Ayan. This one is from the VNR. So, galing po ito sa DepDev or sa NEDA. This is their assessment. Medyo nag-iba lang yung rating nila na negative 10 to positive 10. At may dineclare sila na passing rate, which is 60%. Okay, so yes. Opo. Blue po yung positive, red yung negative, and yung patterns, insufficient data. So, it's their best projection in a sense kung nasaan na tayo, no? And as you can see here, ayan, agree sila in their assessment that we have achieved responsible production and consumption, no? And then regressed in several. For some of them, we have not met them, but we have made significant progress. In their assessment, our lowest, no, would be climate action, sustainable cities and communities, and good health and well-being, no? I will just breeze through some of the thematic areas, no, for our appreciation. We will not go through them one by one. So this is the cluster on climate and biodiversity, in which we have declining progress, no. The bullet points for this and in the next slides are our government claimed activities according to our leading strategies, like yun yung binida natin na ginagawa natin, no, according to the NEDA or DepDev report. But you can see, no, our progress has been sporadic. You have green and red under the same SDG, diba? Now, let's look at peace and justice. Ayan. So, isa lang po ang green. Yung iba, gray, no data available. No? So, major challenges and stagnating. Ang mga binida natin, defense industry sa DND, modernization, etc. When it comes to poverty, hunger, and inequality, very moderately improving. Of course, as you can tell also, no, on a global level or national level, even if our assessment is moderately improving, that does not necessarily translate to being felt by every family, diba? But our metrics somehow point that, you know, we're progressing somehow in the positive direction. Okay? And health, major challenges remain, and as you can see here, some of them, no, are, I want to say puzzling, but also we have volume of researches on the socio-economic determinants of health and why we are performing poorly on them. For example, HIV infections. Yellow tayo. 'Di ba? In this day and age na kaya mong gumawa ng video in a span of 30 seconds, 'di ba? And we have done far amazing, like, non-AI things in the field of science. HIV infection, we're still yellow. Tuberculosis is another issue, no? Like, these are things which are doable, but a lot of socio-economic determinants, no, are shaping the health of the status of our health in this country, no, of our public health. Okay, and you can look at these closely, one by one. Universal health coverage. I mean, alam na po natin ang nangyayari, no. Siguro just to I'll just point out also, no, and I'll end with this, that by the end of the day, our indices are best or our sound approach or some approach on equivalence, 'di ba? Mahirap namang i-measure ang life on land per se, 'di ba? So we have indices which allows us for easy comparison and tracking if may improvement, no. But it tends to simplify or sometimes oversimplify a complex scenario. Okay? Yes, the 169 were decided by the United Nations. Okay? So global discussion siya, may mga consultations, but also there are biases in the process. 'Di ba? Like, how do we assess, for example, responsible consumption and production? We have achieved it kasi being resourceful pala yung metric, edi magaling tayo dun. Diba? That worked to their disadvantage because they do not need to exercise that. Okay? And some of the metrics that you have seen kanina, no, baka it's very global north. No, it's very we need to decolonialize also, no, our metrics. Nonetheless, we believe, no, that having indices is a good tool for flagging deviations. Kung tumaas, bumaba, may nagbago, no, in our progress. The metrics are not perfect, but based on the imperfect metrics that we have, this is where we stand when it comes to the SDGs. Okay, and I'm sure we have a lot of things to share about it, to discuss about it. So, salamat po sa pakikinig.
Okay, so thank you, Doc Eman and Chris, for taking us through the salient points of the SDR. No, a lot of you probably have mixed emotions right now. But before, no, parang we go to your individual reactions. Of course, we'd like to hear from our panel of reactors this afternoon. So please join me as I call your name in the soft, cushiony gray chairs. Okay. So I'll introduce them one by one. So first, our first panel reactor is Ms. Noy Quesada Corneby. She's the director of the Gawad Kalinga Ateneo Community Development and Engagement Office. She has over 3 decades of experience in community and social development, particularly in grassroots organizing, leadership formation, poverty reduction, and multi-sector partnerships. She was part of the team that developed and implemented Bayan Anihan, initially Gawad Kalinga's food sufficiency program, which later evolved to focus on community productivity. She is also a co-founder and current board member of the GK Institute, Gawad Kalinga's capability building mission arm. She currently leads GK Ateneo's community development and engagement initiatives, working with partner communities in different sectors of the university to strengthen community leadership, build partnerships, and contribute to sustainable and inclusive development. So a warm round of applause for Ms. Noy. Thank you. Our next panel member is Ms. Giannina Nicole Feliciano. She is currently an instructor of the Ateneo de Manila University Department of Environmental Science. Her research interests are coral reef ecology, multivariate analysis of ecological communities and environmental impacts in marine ecosystems. She graduated with BS Biology and MS Environmental Science degrees from the University of the Philippines, Diliman, and served as a researcher at the DLSU Shore Center, working on the national assessment of coral reef environments and the examination of coral reefs into Bataha Reefs Natural Park. In Ateneo, she worked on the Blue Map project, which developed a database to view mangrove restoration projects in the Philippines, and the Living Barrens project, examining biodiversity in sandy marine habitats. She also served as project leader of Pawikan Do It Together, which developed educational materials on sea turtle conservation in collaboration with the Pawikan Conservation Center. She is currently co-leader of a project examining the use of the Marine Protected Area Effectiveness Tool for locally managed marine protected areas in the Verde Island Passage. So again, Ms. Nika Feliciano. Our third reactor is Mr. Oliver John C. Quintana, an assistant professor at the Department of Political Science. He has taught several courses such as Philippine Politics and Governance, Philippine Foreign Policy, International Relations, the State and Economic Development in East and Southeast Asia, Comparative Politics in Asia, and Korea-ASEAN Relations. He graduated with a Master of Arts degree in International and Area Studies with specialization in Indian and Southeast Asian Socio-Cultural Studies from the Hankook University of Foreign Studies in Seoul, Korea in 2015. Currently, he serves as director of the King Sejong Institute, Quezon City II, and coordinator of the Ateneo Martial Law Museum and Library, a digital online museum and library covering the martial law period under Ferdinand E. Marcos Sr. His research interests include Southeast Asian politics and society, international relations, migration, memory and nationalism, and modern Korean history, politics, and culture. Again, Mr. Oliver Quintana. Last and definitely not the least, we welcome our last reactor, Mr. Enrico Miguel Salvador. He is a third-year BS Mathematics student and is the SOSES School Representative for academic year 2026-2027. As the SOSE representative, he believes in the power of science in making the world more livable and equitable to all. Besides solving math problems and heading the SOSE Sanggunian, Miko is also interested in singing, genealogy, and reading history. So again, we have here Miko Salvador. Okay. So let me just locate myself in another area. Okay, wait lang. Okay, so I'll join our panel of reactors. Pero before I sit down, I might forget, no? Syempre, we were joined earlier today, again, no, parang two very important people na ran through the SDR report with us. So I'd like to invite either Doc Eman and Chris, no? Because there might be questions later on. Sige. Okay, thank you, Doc Eman. Okay, sige. So parang talk show host daw po tayo dito. Okay, so good afternoon po. Siguro na parang just to start things off, maybe would like to ask your top of head reactions with regards to the SDR report from a while ago. So anyone, whoever would like to start, may start. Okay, Miko?
And siguro highlight for me yung talaga highlight ng ayan. For me yung highlight yung ng SDR I guess is yung progress ng Philippines, and I really agree nga na parang hindi siya masyadong ramdam, especially when during the report ayan parang na balik sa isip ko yung Parex, yung pinapropose na Boracay Bridge, and parang in light of those construction projects parang and other iba pang mga nagagawa ng government that is detrimental to the environment, parang napapaisip ka na ba't parang dami nating progress sa in terms of sustainability. But yeah, I think naman regardless of that, parang ayun, hindi naman natin di-discount yung progress that the government has. Of course, even though, ayun, you have construction projects like that, ayun, hindi pa rin natin madi-discount that there have been LGUs, no, that really have made steps to be more eco-friendly, to reduce their waste, no, and to make their cities more green. So, ayun, I think moving forward, I guess it's just a matter talaga of pushing na. Kasi nandyan naman, we have a push naman na sa country to commit towards the sustainable goals, and I think it's just a matter lang talaga of pushing that and focusing ourselves na to commit towards the sustainable development goals.
Thank you, Miko, na for sharing parang the tensions that you parang observed a while ago that some of our audience members might also be feeling. Sige. Anyone po would like to go next to share their reaction?
Prepared something, but the main message is that Philippines has made a progress, pero off track pa rin siya, di ba? Of the 17 SDGs by 2020. And thank you for the presentation, Chris and Dr. Eman. And while I was listening at the presentation, and when I looked at the dashboard, when I was asked to prepare a reaction, the question was not ano ba yung ranko ng Pilipinas, no, globally or sa Southeast Asia. Pero more of what do these numbers mean for the families we journey with in every day in our work, in our lives, no? And that one thing I've learned is that behind every statistic, nabanggit to ni Dr. Eman kanina, is a person, a family, a community. So when the report says that the world is still off track to achieve SDG by 2020, so parang hindi lang data yung nakikita ko, parang nakita ko ilan pang mga nanay ang hindi makakuha ng pagkain at magbibigay ng pagkain sa table ng kanilang mga pamilya. Ilan pang mga batang gagraduate ang hindi makakakuha ng magandang trabaho, at ilan pang mga communities kaya yung maghihingalo na maging resilient o mag-survive one after another disaster, climate disaster. So yun. Pero kahit isa lang yung natanggap natin, one yung green. So I think there's a message of hope. Whether it's true or not, there's a message of hope. Ang pagiging resourceful ba kasama yung pag-import? Kaya yung consumption natin, wala tayong problema. So yun. So it still says that Philippines made a progress. So baka naman the people behind the implementation of the plans know what works. And so I think the question is whether we have yung ano yung gagawin natin, pero mas tanong ay meron ba tayong tapang ng loob at disiplina na to work together and to scale up what works.
Thank you, Ms. Noy, for sharing your thoughts, especially on collaboration and the next steps forward. Yeah, Nika.
Thank you, Ms. Noy. So, hi everyone. Thank you, Doc Eman. Thank you, Ms. Chris, for your presentation. So, hi, I'm from the Environmental Science Department. So, the representative of the major challenges remain and the downward trend. SDGs 13, 14, 15. While I can't pretend to be an expert on environmental science in all its many facets, I guess what I really appreciated about the talks that Ma'am Chris and Doc Eman gave was highlighting not just every individual SDG, but the concept of SDG transformation. So it's very important, especially when we're thinking about environmental science. We really have a strong thrust to think in systems, not just the individual parts, not just biodiversity for biodiversity's sake, not just counting species, as exciting as that may be for someone like me. It's very important for us to continue remembering those interconnections. Biodiversity is food on people's table, especially here in the Philippines, and especially since we have millions of people in coastal communities in this country. Biodiversity is conservation value, but biodiversity is cultural value as well. So I really appreciated that, and I also especially like the note at the end about our indices. I guess I'm most familiar with life below water, and the indices there, while they do represent global data sets and statistics about ocean health, about protected areas, what we can see is, I guess, in the Philippine context, how to measure those indices are quite unique. We are quite biodiverse in ourselves, and it's very interesting that a lot of the siguro protected areas that are under national legislature and are still being added to national protection today are already consisting of many small locally managed protected areas that have existed since long before. I'm not sure if those things are captured in the metrics of the percentage of areas being covered in key biodiversity areas. And I do recognize the strong government support that was mentioned in the presentations in the national setting, especially when it comes to the environment, to biodiversity. We do have that recently launched Philippine Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan. We have committed to the Aichi biodiversity targets. We have a lot of it in the Philippine Development Plan as well, those intersections. So I really resonate with the need to have stronger implementation. And that can only be done, to echo Ms. Noy's point, through collaboration and interdisciplinarity. So it is quite sobering to think about what was presented today. Not just bluntly, we will not be reaching our 2030 targets, but I think there is no more ripe time to be able to engage multi-sectoral collaboration. So it's also quite exciting. Yan. Thank you.
Sige po. Sige, I'll answer it from Paul Sai's perspective. I teach international relations and I also teach politics and governance and citizenship. No, so I'll just read some of the things that I wrote. So what really struck me the most, no, is that these SDGs, or the report, is often presented as a development report. I also see it as a report about the use of power. As Laswell puts it, no, who gets what, when, and how, no. So parang ako nakita ko talaga, it really talks about the capacity of who defines what development is, who has the capacity to implement it, who bears the cost, and who gets left behind, no. In that sense, no, these SDGs are also a big political project, no. And in the international community, we see that, you know, you saw, no, the difference between European countries and Southeast Asian and African countries. There's still a sense that, you know, states ultimately prioritize their own survival over cooperation, and that's not something new, no. After all, national interest is very important. Self-preservation is also very important. But what is very crucial also is for us to remember that these are common problems which also need common solutions. So there's this need, no, especially in this globalized world, to really come together and talk to each other, no. That's why kung mas liliit tayo ng tingin, no, as Southeast Asian, it's also very important to also look at the region, how Southeast Asian countries can come together and come up with better policies in order to work together as small countries, because if you put them all together, we can actually become a very big and influential region as Southeast Asia, no? So that's why it's crucial for us to see also the power of the entire region, no, in implementing and influencing policy at a more global stage, no. So next is I think they also show us the limits of liberal institutions, no, how we understand norms, how we implement international law, no. The report says that not all of the goals are on track, no. Why? Because institutions cannot eliminate politics, no. So institutions operate within unequal distributions of power, no. In a way, it's quite negative kung titingnan niyo yung perspective na ito, but I think it's also very useful for us to get inspiration from this, because we need to be able to confront the truths, no, the hard truths, no, especially when we saw nakita ko itong spillovers, no. So the countries leading That's why the report's finding on negative spillovers is politically significant. The countries leading the SDG rankings continue to exporting environmental and social costs elsewhere. So, ano siya, parang what one country gains, another country loses. Or what, di ba, parang ganon, no? At dapat mas maging mulat tayo doon, no? Nasaan ang Pilipinas doon? Nandun ba tayo sa losing end or nandun tayo sa gaining part, no? But we don't even need to think about that in that way, no? Because how do we create equality in such an unequal world? And finally, maybe putting on more on my SOCSI 14, which is politics, governance, and citizenship, no? It also these SDGs also talk about how effective a state is. So as a country, yung Pilipinas, epektibo ba yung ating estado, no? So we saw that it's not enough that we are democratic. It's not enough for us to hold elections regularly every 3 and 6 years. Hindi enough na meron tayong konstitusyon, no? Especially when we look at the Philippine findings, which are very fascinating, no? In a way, we are progressing overall. Good, may isa at least na na-achieve. But if you look at it, the things, though, the goals that we are stagnating, health, water, energy, cities, responsible responsible consumption, well, na-achieve naman, pero the rest are the everyday struggles of the ordinary Filipino, which are not really provided for by the government, no? So for example, healthcare, maayos na tirahan, tubig, pagkain sa ibabaw ng lamesa, trabaho. Ito mismo yung mga pinag-uusapan natin araw-araw at ito rin yung pinag-uusapan kada eleksyon. So umuwi ito sa pagtatayo ng mga matitibay at magagaling na institusyon na hindi nakadepende sa tao at sino nakaupo. So mahalaga nating tingnan na, well, maybe it's me because it's Polsai. It's also an electoral issue. Diba? Maybe we only achieved one because we elected leaders who are only able to give us one. Right? Who are only able to provide or promise all, but only deliver only one. No? So it's also a wake-up call for us. I think more than anything, this is a challenge for all of us, to dream better. So ask ourselves, what kind of state or what kind of country do we really want, no? So one that actually implements policies or one that only promises? Because di naman ako nagulat na mataas talaga ang commitment natin. Magaling mag-commit ang Pilipino. Right? Madaling magsabi na game, gawin natin yan, no? Pero pagdating mismo, when getting your hands dirty, doing all of the things, something gets lost along the way, especially in the very muddy political landscape that we have right now, which is, diba, tainted by, well, you have the impeachment process going on, misuse of funds, lahat yan pati itong flood control scandal, all of these are symptoms of a state which is weak, no? Which is not able to deliver all of these SDGs. So kung maganda siyang nasa taas at global level, maganda ang mga pangako, maganda ang mga goals, pero pag inassign na siya per country, kanya-kanyang pagpapabibo yan bilang bansa, no? At mukhang isa lang kaya natin, 'di ba, so far, no? So I guess looking at 2030, we have 2028. Okay, right? We're looking at elections. It's an opportunity for us to maybe get more boxes checked, no? Especially, 2 years wala naman masyado siguro yung magagawa in terms of having the big effects that we want to see, no? But it's a good start, no? Kasi pag sinabi mong SDG, parang ang layo-layo niya sa atin, di ba? But in fact, we also have the power to decide how many we can achieve if we only make that right decision inside the precinct, through the ballot, no? So yun lang naman po.
Thank you, Sir Oliver, for those insightful thoughts. Actually, I agree, no? Parang ang layo-layo talaga ng SDG sa atin. So very recently, I went to a public school. I was asking some of the teachers, do people here talk about it? Tinatawag ko na random lang. Sabi niya, Hindi. So, ang pinag-uusapan nila ay gulayan sa paaralan. Parang, di ba, parang a lot about the environment, but never really about SDG. So, that like tension. So, thank you for sharing that one. Siguro a bit connected no, to what Sir Oliver mentioned a while ago. Kanina binanggit po ninyo that maybe, parang one way is to look into our electoral response also for 2028. Pero what are the other parang what other ways do you think we can operationalize, or maybe Miss Noy and Miss Nika and even parang Miko were mentioning about collaboration a while ago. How do you think we can collaborate in terms of sa government, civil society, private sectors to further the SDGs? What are your maybe like, if there was a top one, parang one way to go, or siguro two, ano kaya yung mga pwede ninyong, ano yung naiisip ninyo? Paano kaya yung next steps natin? Big question. Or maybe from your experience at least, something very real for you. I mean, it doesn't mean, di ba, parang we'll adopt it, pero baka sa na-observe po ninyo.
Sige. Kasi 'di ba, progress is real, but it's uneven. What's happening at the national level, hindi mo naman yan nararamdaman down to the barangay, even down to the communities and the families. Easy to say, but I don't know how to do it. We've been doing it in our community development engagement office, but maganda kasi magplano, pero nasabi na rin kanina ni Doc Eman, di ba, central is the implementation, and that the plans may be integrated in our national development plan, but the greater challenge is translating these plans into these policies and resources to sustain improvement of lives of the people down to the communities. I think madaling sabihin, mahirap gawin, pero parang sa akin, sa mga development projects that we are doing, siguro baba na lang natin sa Ateneo, no, that when we did great progress naman in implementing projects related to SDGs, no, but once siguro let's stop counting projects that contributed to SDGs, but I think the challenge is how do we work together to intentionally create greater impact, and to those projects related or addressed to our communities, partner communities. Let's consider our communities as partners, not as beneficiaries of our projects, no. Yun muna.
Thank you. Hi. So, thank you for that, Miss, and thank you for that, Miss Noy. So, I think in my case, maybe I'll talk about something maybe a bit specific that we've been currently working on. When we talk about something like marine protected areas or conserving seascapes, even small areas of the coast that are of interest to either a barangay, a municipality, even national government level. So what I noticed when it comes to collaboration now, in the past two projects I've been in, we've been trying to consolidate information. First was about restoration activities that are going on nationally for things like mangroves and seagrasses. And currently, we're working on consolidating information about marine protected areas in the Verde Island Passage. So, we would think, I'm not sure, I went into it thinking that it would be, I guess, a doable task to do so. But what we have found out is that there are many different implementation agencies of certain projects. They range from NGOs, international projects, even the barangay levels have their own marine protected areas, sometimes under municipal ordinance, sometimes barangay only. And sometimes these are already existing long before they are considered for national level protection. I think it's very important and an avenue for collaboration, even at the very onset, for us to get to know the current status of our coastal areas, of our marine life, in our marine protected areas. It's important for us to be able to have access to that data. A lot of our locally managed marine protected areas, even though they do have monitoring, even though there are regular efforts to monitor the state of the reefs or the ecosystems that they cover, a lot of it is still underreported, largely outside of their implementing agencies. So it's difficult to have that harmonized or concrete scalable action if that data is underreported. So I think that's a step to collaboration, and there is a widespread interest in protecting our coasts. And it's actually one of the indicators, the percentage of area of key biodiversity areas that is protected. But if we look at national dashboards, the area that they focus on are those that are nationally protected in the NIPAS or ENIPAS or their own ordinances. What we see are that data on smaller scale protected areas are not yet that accessible. And there are many academic projects, NGOs, that are already doing capacity building, especially for local government units or protected area managers. So there is really a need to harmonize that data. The collaborators exist already widely. I think it's just important to harness that collaboration towards achieving a larger goal. So, yun for me. Thank you.
Balik ko sa na-mention nyo kanina na kwento, no, na parang yung mga teachers, yung na-mention nyo sa inyo na teacher na nagkwento about the environment but not about the SDGs. No? And I think one important thing that we can do as well, we can do here is talagang promote the SDGs, because after all, the SDGs are meant for the whole world, and of course, everyone is part of the world and should know about the SDGs. And yung the other side of that kasi, when everyone gets to be informed about the SDGs, ayun, parang they can have a say on how to respond to the SDGs, and even they can have a response on how they can better their communities so that the SDGs are met. So gusto ko ini-echo yung sinabi kanina ni Ma'am Noy, sorry, na ayun, talagang makinig sa communities, because no one's better at their own communities except those na nandun talaga sa communities, those who have been living every day in their communities, those who have known the problems, the issues in their communities by heart. So talagang it's really a matter of just I mean, the SDGs are there. We have, I guess, resources or funds. We just have to listen to the communities and know how we can position those funds or resources in order to align ourselves, our communities more towards achieving the SDGs.
Thank you, Miko. Sir?
Ako siguro, I think it's very important to always look at the local community setting, no? Sabi nga po nila kanina. So we had one experience before we worked with a fishing municipality na apektado rin itong Bajo de Masinloc, no? So you can already see the intersectionality, no, between security, livelihood, and even governance, no? I think it's very important for us when we talk to any community to always keep that in mind, no? That interdisciplinarity and multidisciplinarity is the thing now, no? We need to see the problem from all aspects and both sides, no? Tapos na yung panahon kung saan ako lang ang expert dito hanggang dito lang ang alam mo, no? Pagdating sa sciences kami na, no? I think it's very important that since we're talking about collaboration, that the different disciplines come together, look at the problem from a multifaceted perspective, but working together with the actual community, because sabi nga, no, the best problems come from those who experience the problem firsthand, no? So in that situation, when we talk to the fisher folk, it's very important, for example, to activate the local NGO or the local people's organization that would really support, for example, how to find alternative life forms of livelihood, no, sources of livelihood, since hindi makakapagpangisda yung mga mangingisda doon sa specific na lugar na yun, which is traditional fishing waters. We also talk, for example, to the mayor, no, the mayor who tried her best to come up with alternative forms of livelihood or sources of livelihood. Binigyan niya ng baboy yung mga mangingisda. Maganda ba yung sagot? Hindi kami sigurado, no? Pero ito ba yung naikonsulta? Ito yung mga tanong na magandang pag-isipan, no, bago tayo gumawa ng kahit anong solusyon, no? Kasi ang daming pinopropose na solusyon, pero yung specific na sagot sa isang specific na tanong ay mahirap makuha kung hindi lahat papakinggan, no? And yes, it will take time, but I think it's worth it, no, especially because if we want to make our kababayans, no, feel and understand SDG, kailangan talaga siyang ilapit sa pang-araw-araw nating buhay, no? Na kahit yung paghihintay mo ng ilang oras para sa isang bus ay may kinalaman sa SDG, no? Na kung bakit pag ulan biglang nakababad na ang paa mo hanggang tuhod, may kinalaman yan sa SDG, di ba? Kung bakit isang rice na lang ang nabibili mo, hindi mo na kaya mag-double rice, may kinalaman yan sa SDG, di ba? Hindi ko alam kung paano siya gagawing lack for better term, popular, pero I think kailangan natin magsimula na makita na these problems are interconnected, no? IR has a term, it's called complex interdependence, no? We are dependent on one another, but this interdependence is very complex because it's a mix of your own personal interest, your own national interest, but it's a global problem, no? Because sometimes at the heart of cooperation is really competition as well, no? Kaya maganda rin yung sinabi ni Ma'am, no? Tingnan natin, hindi kung pang ilan placer tayo, no? Kasi hindi naman ito Miss Universe. Pero tingnan natin kung gaano nga ito nararamdaman ng taong bayan. Ayun.
So parang bridging din, no? Parang what we have on the global level, bridging it down, no? Parang, and even rooting it on the experience of our communities also and the everyday life of Filipinos. Sige po, siguro, maybe, nisip ko kung last question, but I'll check the time, of course. Sige. So we are 4 years away from the 2030 deadline.
very important that we cannot already separate diversity or ecological studies with things like water quality, because our coasts are heavily utilized, they are lived in, they are sources of livelihood, they are sources of food, and as Ms. Noy and Sir Oliver said, there are people living there. So it's important that when we do research there, it is not just something to add to the more, parang it shouldn't be something that should just comply with filling in data for indicators, but something that is meaningful to the community and that researchers have something to stand to learn by working with the community, moving away from just doing research, but also making sure that it's a priority to have knowledge co-sharing, having local expertise being engaged and as key stakeholders in every research endeavor. In education, at least for the college level, I'd like to thank AIS, shout out, for their great initiatives in tailoring, teaching every member of the community talaga about SDGs and what it means for us. From my small sample size of students that I asked before this reaction, they had experiences with attending the AIS workshops for interns, and it was actually the first time that they were able to think about how the SDGs do impact their lives, and that is, I think, something unique to the curricula here. It was also mentioned that SOCSI subjects are a large part in integrating that knowledge as well as STS, and I guess they're major. I guess in terms of that, it would still be to integrate more of the SDG transformations and the goals to curricula as well in an applied way, so that it can be better embodied in education and once the students graduate as well.
Siguro if there's anything that I can add, it's there are two things that struck me dun sa when I read the SDR. No, firstly is we really need peace to implement these SDGs, because after all it is peace that can give strong institutions that can implement and it can implement policies towards SDGs. So that's definitely one thing I'd like to see in a post 2030 agenda, how to have the peace, have peace, have stronger peace, that can really lead to stronger governments and institutions. And the second one that struck me dun sa report is the presence of emerging technologies. I think we cannot deny na nandito na yung AI and other emerging technologies that have really profound effects on our lives. Ayan, sobrang far-reaching na yung effects ng AI, hindi lang sa science, pati sa art or sa art and other aspects. And I think that the post 2030 agenda really needs to address how are we going to deal with this AI and prevent it from dominating the world and replace us humans in one way or another. So ayun. And this third thing is something that I'd like to add then. I think in the post 2030 agenda, I think we can also add an aspect of empowering every one of us. As I said kanina, parang yan, the SDGs are for the world and everyone is part of that world. And I really think if everyone is empowered to act on those SDGs, talagang we can make positive changes which can really help our world become better, become more sustainable, and make our common home, Earth, a better place. So ayun.
Me from a policy perspective, siguro by 2030, number one, wag natin dagdagan pa ulit ng goals. I think kailangan din natin maging realistic in the sense na natuto na tayo. So I don't think everything will be achieved by then. So what I'm seeing is that number one, sharing of best practices is always important. We learn from each other. But always contextualize in the local setting. We cannot just compare ourselves to any other country, diba? We can always look at our own neighbors to begin with. We will learn from them. And even those neighbors which are a bit farther, like, but still in the same region. I would always tell my class, well, I teach Korea, ASEAN relations. We look at our neighbors in East Asia, for example. Northeast Asia, for example, you look at Korea, perhaps their developmental model can be a good way to also tailor fit, no? Make our own model and learn from what they did, no? But at the same time, I think number two, mahalaga rin to have stronger institutions and introduce new norms of ways of doing things, no? It's hindi pwedeng nakaugalian na, no? We need governments, we need administrations that can think and plan and look beyond administrations, look beyond the next budget cycle, the next set of leaders, no? We need stronger institutions, no? I think dito nakatahi halos lahat, no? Baka bias lang ako kasi Paul say ako, but for me number 16 is really number 17 in that sense, no? Because if you have projects for any of these, no, isang no lang ng mayor, babagsak lahat yan, no? Isang misuse of funds lang, babagsak lahat yan, no? Or isang corruption scandal, hindi mai-implement kahit napakaganda sa papel. Kailangan natin ng bagong ugali at bagong behavior pagdating sa governance, no? And ultimately, number 3, I think we need to be able to inculcate in our, well, sa isipan ng ating mga kabataan that we are part of the solution. Okay? Sa kalimutan natin, there's a always depend on those who are people in power na they will do this for us. Diba? DFA will achieve this for us. NEDA will be doing this for us. No, we have a part to play, no? Hindi ka estudyante lang. You can begin in your own campus, in your own university with all of the practices and the norms that you would like to change. As simple as waste segregation na napakahirap ng gawin ng ilan sa atin, no? So ibig sabihin, we need to see ourselves as part of achieving these goals, no? So that when we achieve these goals, we feel this sense of triumph as a whole and not just the tendency again in the Philippines, ididikit na-achieve yan under this administration. No, na-achieve yan dahil ginawa natin ang trabaho natin bilang mga Pilipino at bilang global citizens. And I think once we are able to have a sense of ma-own natin siya bilang sa atin, then we might be able to actually achieve all of these in 2040 as our own ambition bilang mga Pilipino.
Thank you, Sir Oliver. Siguro before we head on to the next part, may very, very quick clarification lang for Doc Eman also. There's a clarification here. If you could please share what agency monitors her SDG efforts progress from a while ago.
It's DepDev.
Okay.
Formerly
Okay,
NEDA.
to our home partner. Okay, that's the response. And another one is what is the profile of the respondents for this survey, referring to your presentation from a while ago.
Yes, so they were tagged as SDG experts, which is a very broad and vague category. These were not regulated though by the government. So parang SDSN is a global network, so it was cascaded via that network. So some of them are academics, some are doctors, engineers, different professions, community leaders, so different professions.
Okay. Sige, I'm sure a lot of people have questions also. Sige, yes, Dr. Del.
Yeah, actually, simple lang yung comment ko. Ang DepDev ang nagano, which is, and the basis with economics. And when they measure progress sa DepDev, NEDA, GDP. So I think they should change their, hindi na GDP, dapat SDGs. Because it's a frame of mind. They plan according to GDP. Talo ka na. So I think that's the campaign. We should change the parameters for assessing progress. Hindi na GDP. And maybe that should be our campaign.
Thank you po, sir. No? I mean, that's a very good point. No? Kasi actually, MDGs, of course, here, we can argue about this all day. Pero MDGs were started really as an economic plan, di ba? More than a holistic sustainability plan. But, kaya po nagsimula sa NEDA, no? But now, that this is the framing that you are right, no? Maybe we should reframe that, and part of the communication also is that this is the goal, or the goals that we have. No? Salamat po.
Yeah,
The next, ano.
4 years. Okay, so I think we have another question from the audience. Please introduce yourself.
Okay. Narinig ba ako? Okay, so hello guys. Good afternoon. So you can call me Francis, and I think I'll just give a comment on the presentation because recently I think last third year kasi fifth year na kasi ako, and third year we had this project back then that was also that applied the SDGs when we were visiting an immersion from a sustainable, from a subsistence farm. So okay, I'll read the concern here. So, from what I noticed, the SDGs as an indicator, it seems to be best as a starting point in assessing how our country experiences issues that are similar to those in other countries. But it's also quite quantitative. I also noted that it was quantitative and reductionist. So, I think this experience with the subsistence farm really showed me that what if we could apply SDGs to different local, on a more local level. So kasi what happened was this. So we went kasi to a subsistence farm and in our in a STP project for Soksaya kasi it was integrated the SDGs, and we did participatory action research and lab soil analysis, and we realized that that the community struggled with goals 2 and 12, but it satisfied goals 15 with the indicators that applied. But the PowerPoint that we showed here, from a national point of view, says that goals 2 and 12 are okay, but not goal 15, right? Which is so we're struggling on life on land, right? But the said community, there's something that could be learned from life on land. So perhaps if we are to develop, say, the right solutions and for example, basic needs or technical innovations, maybe perhaps it's time that we also try to apply the SDGs in a more local setting. So specifically to compare local communities or say social classes, because there are different dynamics and different resources being involved there. So parang medyo national kasi yung level because I think the picture is incomplete. So I guess you guys have any comments on this? Or kung may comments kayo, feel free na lang to share. Kasi based na lang sa experience kasi namin as a class.
Thank you, Francis. That's a very good point. I mean, I guess I agree. Okay, on our end, we've been looking at how to decolonialize the SDGs kasi a lot of them, the metrics are very very global north. No, yes, it was. The 169 were itemized via a participative process, series of consultations. 3 years binuo yung 169, no. Pero ang ending is ayan, ganun pa rin, no. We've been really pushing for decolonializing SDGs and sustainability in general. But a great topic in discussion, especially with SDSN, for example, is localization, diba? I'll use it in a viewpoint of a school, no, school and other schools, no. Whenever we have visitors from different universities, they ask us, they want to be sustainable, so there's that interest. But the first question is, saan kayo bumili ng solar panel nyo? Diba? Because the idea seemed to be sustainability is equal to solar panel, but it's just one of the many, diba? And it really starts by assessing your strengths and weaknesses as a community, as a country, diba? Sure, we have to agree on some common metrics, which we don't agree with what they agreed upon, no? But point being, we really need to scale it down also. The discussion needs to be scaled down on different levels. And maybe they're aware of that. It's just in the index, we really have to, there's a term in statistics and whatever on this, no? You really have to just capture the data in its, no? Yeah, you just have to get the average. You need to, you want the full picture, but at some point, you also need to dissect. As a biologist, I'll go with dissect. you need to dissect the number, no, defragment or the whatever it, no, so that you can see what the outcome is. Disaggregate finally, okay. You need to disaggregate the data so that you can see ano yung for different communities, for whether you're talking about Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, barangay level, community level. Though of course, as we say it, no, as we talk about it, implementing and tracking it on a granular level will be very difficult. It's hard to find data and to have devoted people to do that. There's I mean, last na, no, on a more, I guess, cerebral level, there's a paper on that, no, which we use in our dev classes, diba? Like, data is the missing ingredient in SDGs. It's hard to tell if we're getting there or not because, you know, in many cases, data is really lacking. Kaya nga ito naman ako sa words, we try to equate things, no? We measure poverty by this, ganun. But is that the actual measure of poverty? We don't know, but we don't have the data, so we go with that, mga ganun. Ayun. Thank you.
My name is Mary Jane Solomon, and I'm one of the member of the advisory board of Global ESG Leadership Organization. It is a nonprofit based in London. So I'm happy to attend this dialogue. Actually, I'm very busy. I came all the way from BGC just to attend this. So congratulations. I don't have a question, but I just would like to commend you guys for taking this initiative, and I think as a I would say as a supporter, no, as a sustainability leader myself, I would like this to be duplicated outside of this campus. To, you know, I'd like to partner with AIS and bring this to the communities. You know, I think they need to know awareness is very important, and I agree. We have to come in for voter education because we only get the government that we deserve. So what is happening now, the political turmoil that we're seeing every single day, is a result of our choices. So with that, congratulations, and I'm so happy to be here. I hope we can do this more often in different parts of the Philippines. I am interested to collaborate. The word is collaboration, but implementation is, I think, will make a difference. We can collaborate, but we can stop there. But if we can implement successfully, then we can change the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much po, ma'am, for the support, no? And we are very much open, and we hope that we can collaborate. SDG 17 Partnership for the Goals.
Yes, okay. Sige, may apologies for those who would like to ask more questions. Just in respect for the time of everybody, maybe you can just write down your questions or maybe approach any one of the panel members and our speakers later on after the event. Just to show our appreciation for our guests today, I'd like to call on Doc Eman to present the tokens and certificates of appreciation. Tagi-isang box daw po kayo. Choose your own box. Sige po. Sige. Yes. Yeah, so maybe you could stand up for a photo po. Ay, meron din. So I'd also like to thank everyone who graced our session today, our event. Thank you everyone for participating. I hope you got parang new insights from all parang everything that was presented. So again, I'm Nating Oano, your moderator for today. Thank you again for joining us for this event. Bye-bye. Oh, okay. Sige. So, sorry, I'm back. Okay. Sige. A last point, we would like to ask if you could help us improve our future events in AIS. If you could please kindly scan the QR code here above and share your thoughts and experiences through this evaluation form. So, thank you very much.